Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, April 24th, 2023. Hope you guys are having a good day. I went to the weight room today. Wait, we need the sound for that. I actually made it to the weight room. It is, for me, a newsworthy occurrence. It's been a very long time since I've lifted any weights. I did have, you know what? I did have the one kettlebell that I bought leading up to Tokyo, but I really wasn't getting it. It wasn't enough for me. I needed to do more with it. And I couldn't get into a rhythm with it. But now, just finished Boston. I don't have any other races on the calendar right now. Well, I will be doing a race on the 4th of July, but like no marathons until Chicago. So I've got some time to reset, rebuild, and hopefully this is the beginning of a habit that I'll be able to develop. I feel like I need to. I'm not that I'm plateauing. I just hit a PR in Tokyo. Not that I'm plateauing, but I feel like there's a lot more room for improvement if I can take care of some other basics. And this is one that I've been a little bit looking for a while. So that's what I'm doing. So we can talk about it a little bit more if you guys want. But before we do that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio only version on the podcast. Maybe you are listening to this from the gym. Maybe you are lifting weights as you listen to today's podcast. So hopefully, if that's it, me, I wanted like really intense music. But if you want to have a conversation and make it sound like you got friends listening in, and watching and hanging out, then this could be pretty good. So hope you're having a good lift leg day. And everyone watching this at home on YouTube, but not live, welcome. You are watching the number one podcast to listen to while you are looking for leg exercises that you might need to do the next time you go to the gym. So welcome. All right. Let's see who else we got here in the chat. We've got Master Renner saying, I'm still also living that Boston high. Yeah, it's hard to come down from it, man. Boston was such a crazy weekend, and it was just so much fun. And Cheryl Ross says, the best news is learning that you're running Chicago. I'll be there, and I hope to meet you. Hope to do your shakeout run. Yeah. So, I'll be running Chicago. We'll be doing a shakeout run for sure. We'll be putting on another big event. I talked with A6 while I was up there in Boston. So we're not like confirmed, but like we were like, yeah, let's do stuff. You want to do stuff? Yeah, let's do stuff. So let's do stuff together. So we're gonna do stuff. So hopefully we'll have some fun stuff planned. I'm kind of, I did send out a couple of emails to people, but I'm like, I really want to let kind of like the Boston, and a lot of the people that I interface with from a variety of brands did Boston and London. So I need to give people some time before I start harassing them about next stuff that I want to do. So yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to plan some fun stuff. Al Davino, good to see you. Al says, happy Monday, Crazy Run Club. I'm still living off that Boston High a week later. Also doing it too. Nice. Daniel Koo says, question, would you rather go with the Rocket X2 or the Endorphin Elite for a marathon race, and why? I'd rather go with the Endorphin Elite. I love that shoe. It's really, really good. And for me, it just feels a little bit softer in a good way than the Rocket X2 does. The Rocket X2 feels a little bit on the firm side, and I'm actually not sure that I think it could definitely be a good marathon race shoe, but it wouldn't be like one of if there was like a race that I was running and there was like Houston, for example. Houston, it's sponsored by Brooks, but I'm not going to race in a Brooks right now. And so like for that race, I would just kind of pick whatever. I don't know that the Rocket X2 would be like in my top 3 choices, it's a good marathon shoe, but I did see some out there on the course in Boston, but like it wouldn't be in my top 5, maybe 5, top 3. No. So that's kind of how I feel about it. It just is a little bit firm for me. Carlos Griego says, yo, from New Mexico, got that Boston B Hugo after watching everything from last week. Oh man, that's awesome, Carlos. Hopefully I'll be able to see you there sometime soon. I have been putting together my thoughts for the race recap. I originally wanted to go out today, but I feel like the Runners Weekend video was a little bit on the longer side that I made, and I also did a Boston race video. So I feel like I'm not in a rush to get out like the third and final part of the Boston or the race trilogy, the race, the Runners Weekend, and then the actual like crunching numbers race recap. So that'll go out hopefully tomorrow, but we'll see. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about like next year and what I want to do. I did BQ at Boston, which is, I never thought I'd say that. And, but yeah, I don't know if I'll So far, no one has contacted me about any of the videos that I made so far to give you guys an update in that sense. But I don't know that I'll run it like I don't know if I'm gonna be a run it every year kind of guy. I'll definitely be there though, because I don't want to miss that weekend. But I don't know if I'll run it every year. Sean says, Kofuzi, if I love the Mach, will the Rocket X2 work for me? It will, but I don't know that like I would always pick that as the next marathon shoe. You know what I mean? I don't think that they're like, oh, it's not a natural progression necessarily from like one to the next. I still like I'll mention it in the race recap video, but like I ran in like the Prime X Strong, for example, for Boston, and at the end of the race, I was like, oh, I missed the Metaspeed Sky Plus. I wish I had that, or I wish I had the Adios Pro 3. Like I always wish I was in that shoe because I just feel like those are two shoes where like they're kind of like twitchy almost, and like when I'm tired, like it really lets me know when I'm like heel striking or heel braking. And it really encourages me to try to get up on my toes and be a little bit more efficient running. I tried to do that in the Prime X Strong, and I just had a hard time like turning over on it and getting on top of all that shoe. And I feel like something like the Rocket X2, I think that it would be really good for it'd be in the kind of in that twitchy category. But I also just feel like it doesn't give me quite as much cushion as like a Metaspeed Sky Plus or a Adios Pro 3 would. And so I feel like might lead to some earlier fatigue, be my concern. But I do think that like, you know, it would those two definitely can go together. And I would put those two together. Like if you're looking at the one and you like the Hoka, definitely you should be looking at the other. So yes, but it's not a necessary that you get it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Alex Hermanson said, did the Goggins 4x4 48 challenge over the weekend and might not run for a week. That sounds about right. It's pretty intense. Pretty intense. Mike is running says, back live again, and I see you doing some strength workouts. Good reminder to go to the gym and lift some iron. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta tell you, I feel like the exercises that I did, I liked. I enjoyed them. Immediately after leaving the gym, I'm like, I think I'm done. It took like 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes, but I'm like, let's not go crazy. Let's not like break my leg so I don't feel like coming back again. Hopefully I'll be back on Thursday. It's kind of like, you know, I would like to go. I like 9-day cycles now for running. And so I feel like, you know, doing something strenuous every third day kind of works for me. So I feel like, well, maybe that's hopefully I can keep that kind of routine and schedule. But I just like went up the stairs a little bit right before coming on the live stream, and my legs are starting to feel sore already. But I also think that I did the deadlifts wrong. I think I got to work on my form on that, and because now my back hurts a little bit. I don't think it was the squats. I think it was the deadlifts. So I'm like, yeah, I got to work on that a little bit more. Because I did it the first time with like a little bit of weight, and then I was like, oh, I feel a little bit in my hamstring. This is nice. I like this. And I was like, but it feels really light. I feel like I'm not even breathing heavy. So like, let's add some weight. And then I was like, okay, this feels heavy. And then I was like, oh, but I don't feel it in my hamstrings anymore. I'm already feeling it in my back straining, you know? So I think I got to go back to some lighter weight. Luis is here. He says, yo, what's going on? Good to see you, Luis. And Kenneth says, you know, I've been seeing a lot of Boston videos on YouTube. I think you're safe. I hope so. Let's see. Like, I mean, yeah, I hope so. I mean, you know, maybe this whole time, maybe we were like teasing the BAA this whole time. Maybe it was NBC that was the problem, because this year was the first year it was ESPN. Or maybe John Hancock was the problem, because John Hancock is no longer. This is the last year they're going to be the sponsor too. Maybe the BAA has always been cool, and we were just like give them a hard time. But maybe they had sponsors that were making them give other people a hard time. You know what I mean? So, you know, Matt Acronero with the long live the BIA, you know, maybe they were the good guys after all. Maybe they were like professors. What is it in Harry Potter? Snape. Yeah. Right. Snape. You always thought he was the bad guy, but maybe he wasn't actually the bad guy. I don't know. And Eliza says, "Co, you should have fun at Boston and run London Marathon next year." I do want to run London Marathon next year, and I'd like to run it fast. So that's another reason why I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm very interested in the 26 point true race. So I don't know if I'd like to run it, but if I'm gonna run London, I don't want, even if I'm in a taper and I do it very easy, I don't want to do 26.2 8 days before before a marathon. So, yeah. So but like the lottery is open for the London Marathon. So everyone that's interested, put your name in. Cross my fingers, putting my name in the Goblet of Fire. Hopefully my name gets pulled. Good luck to you guys too. Hopefully I see all of you guys there. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think we should have a giant Kofuzi Run Club in London next year. Marcello wants to know, what's your recovery shoe of choice these days, Co? Here, you know what? I'm going to say it. Right now, I've been enjoying recovering in the On Cloud Surfer. An on shoe. Yeah. No, that's that's also worked, but I meant to do this song. Should we do that anytime someone says something about on running? Now that's the new word of the day. Yeah. So I've been enjoying that one. It's been nice and soft. I've been walking around in it casually. My wife and I have been going on nice long walks together. That's been my main recovery from Boston. I did some swimming. I hopped on the bike. I did one run. It felt okay. Did I do one run? Yeah, I did one run last week. So but the On shoe has been great. It's comfy. I got one super mangled up toe, and the On Cloud Surfer has been really gentle on it, and underneath it's nice and squishy. So, yeah. Terry says, do London. We Brits would love to see you. Yeah, I think I talked to a couple of brands. I know I talked to at least one about doing a UK tour while I was in Boston. I was like, I really like to do a UK tour. And I was like, I know you guys got races. I said this to a couple people to see who would bite first. So hopefully that can happen, Nicola Puleo said, I did the Boston-London double, and I won't be running for a long time. Hope you get in London 2024. It's a great race. Yeah, it looked like it was rainy this year, right? Weather wasn't so great, but it looked like people had a lot of fun. I saw a lot of fun race videos from London this year. I didn't see anyone that was like, I'm going for a PR today, and I'm bringing my GoPro with me. I saw lots of we're having fun out. Although a 40 had a huge PR. So, yeah. That was fun. That was a good, well, that was also fun to watch too, Marcello said it was good to see that you're lifting with non-running shoes, Co. You see, I at least know that. I at least know that because I think that lifting in your running shoes just wrecks your running shoes. It's just not good. I wanted something that was going to be less of a heel drop, just because I'm somewhat unstable already. So I went with their Asics Classic CTs. I like those. It's just like a rubber. There's a little bit of an insole to it. There's not much foam in it. It's mostly like a rubber outsole, and it feels like it's pretty flat and a little bit roomier in the toes, so my toes can try to stabilize a little bit. And I use those when I take the kids out on the longboard. So it's just like a good general athletic-ish shoe, and it worked in the weight room for me. I also thought it looked nice too, so I was like, this is good. All right, CV76 with a great question. Wellesley Scream Tunnel, London Tower Bridge, or New York City First Ave? That's a great. I haven't done the London Tower Bridge. I've seen 40's video of it so far, but so of those three, I'd say I really like the Wellesley Scream Tunnel. New York City First Ave, the wall of sound is certainly loud, but when I did it this year, I had experienced it the year before as a spectator, and I had come from somewhere else and come south back down to meet it, and I remember it just seeming so impressive because I could hear it from so far away. as I was walking closer and closer, it just seemed louder and louder. And in my mind, I'd remember just like a 4-story tall speaker wall system and a giant like jumbotron. And then this year, in 2022, when I ran it, I was like, oh, it's loud. There's a lot of people here, but it didn't feel nearly as overwhelming as when I had viewed it as a spectator the year prior to that. So it was really good. But the Wellesley Scream Tunnel, like I was like, I heard it's loud. I didn't realize just how long it would be at that level of intensity. It was like full intensity for like the entire time. And it took me like a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes to run through it at race pace. And it was incredibly loud. Like you couldn't hear anything. Like if I had tried to say something to Tony, he wouldn't, and when he was right next to me, he wouldn't have been able to hear me. You know what I mean? Um, it was just so loud. And like the, the energy, it's kind of like that, like kind of almost heckling, borderline heckling, like that angry, happy energy, very East Coast vibey, you know, that I just found so amazingly fun. Maybe because I kind of grew up with it. I always kind of have realized that as far as like coaching goes, I respond to being yelled at real hard, you know, from like for like physical coaching. And I think it's just from growing up in the East Coast as like we respond well to like kind of like hostility and aggressiveness. And so like just hearing the way that they were screaming at all of us was really fun. I don't know, I just liked it. I mean, not that I mean on New York on First Avenue, it's New Yorkers, so it's still loud too, and it's still East Coast, but it was just different. And so I think I like the Wellesley Scream Tunnel best. Yeah, Leela Lurar. Leela Lurar. Is that how you say that? Leela Lurar says, be sure to do your work for Peachtree. Cardiac Hill is a killer. There's a hill called Cardiac Hill. Oh boy. Yeah, that's gonna be my race in July. I'm gonna head out there with Drew. Well, not Drew's gonna be there, so I'll have to go see him. Hopefully Tyler will be around. Chimney Nebit. Hopefully he's around too. And see those guys. And yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna really race that one hard, you know, but it'll be fun to just kind of like give it an honest effort anyway, you know. Yeah, I don't know if I would like I think my technical PR for 10K is still over 40 because I don't race that many. So I'd like to get that under 40, but I mean a hilly course, especially if there's a course with a hill on it that's called Cardiac Hill. Yeah, I don't know. That's gonna work. I don't know if that's gonna work. Mark Peterson says the ladies at Wellesley were aggressive. They were. It was so fun. Yeah. JC says the Scream Tunnel is like you're like a rock star for 60 seconds. Yeah, it was amazing. Frank though says he didn't have to turn off his book. It's an audiobook. You're like, I don't have to turn it off. Okay. That's funny. Lila Lurar says they call it Cardiac Hill because the heart hospital is at the top. Okay. It's probably also hilly. I think I've run up that hill before when I was running around for the marathon trials that weekend. I think I know it because like people were like, oh, this is like this street. This is the Peachtree Road Race course. So I think I'm familiar with it. And yeah, it's no joke of a hill, especially if you're trying to do it at 10K pace. Oh boy. Luke Line says Cardiac Hill, I bet, is no worse than that final hill at Cherry Blossom. Ooh, if it's the hill that I'm thinking of, it is worse. The final hill at Cherry Blossom is tough because you're running at like 10-mile pace, you know, so it's like kind of half marathonish pace. So it's a challenge. I think that if it's the hill I'm thinking of, it's steeper, shorter but steeper, and you're gonna be trying to run it at 10K pace. Ooh. Martha says that the Scream Tunnel used to have students on both sides, so I think that's why it was called a tunnel. A lot of people have mentioned that. That I was like, why do they call it a tunnel if it's just one side? For some reason, I had envisioned an actual tunnel. Like I thought that there was like an underpass or something, and like the Wellesley students stood underneath the tunnel and it echoed. I don't know why, but I had envisioned in my mind an actual tunnel. That's just me, I guess. Uh, mm. Auto VV says, sorry if you mentioned this already. What's up next in your race calendar? 5K, 10K, or something else? Yeah, so we're talking about Peachtree Road Race. That's the next race that, well, I'm getting a bib from Adidas. So I'm assuming that I have it. I haven't bought it yet or anything. I don't have it yet, but they said that they were going to get me a bib. So that'll be the next race that's on the calendar. Now Boulder is coming up soon. But I was just talking with another brand and they were thinking about bringing me out to Boulder another time, like really close by. That would make 2 trips seem superfluous. Like it'd be like they were like 2 weekends apart, like one weekend and the next weekend after that. So I got to follow up on that and see if they were serious, if they really want to do that event or not. Because if they do, then I won't go for Boulder. But if they don't, then I will go for Boulder. You know, just because if I go to Boulder, I got to do that all on my own dime, and I also got to miss, Memorial Day weekend with my family. And it's like the last weekend before the end of school. Like school ends on Tuesday for my kids. So I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that's happening at the end of the school year that I kind of want to be around for. So like, I don't know if today might not be the year. I want it to be, but I don't know. Run the World says, I got a 16 months PB at London Marathon yesterday. Awesome. Great job out there. I know some people have mentioned some PBs, or people mentioned that other people had PBs. I didn't see what the PBs are. So if you had a PB this weekend, let me know. I really want to look around, make sure I ring the bell for you guys. So put them in again. I'm sorry if you haven't seen it. Go Running With Lois says, I saw Nell Rojas in your Boston video. Did you say hi to her? No, because I didn't actually get to see her because I was in the Sam Adams Fan Fest Zone tent. And they had set it up that the 2 top American finishers, one for the men and one for the women, were sitting down in these chairs, and you could come through and like get a photo and say hi and stuff. And I don't know if like there weren't people there or what, because then there was someone like working with the thing that was like, hey guys, if you want to go say hi to them, you can get in line now. The line's really short. But I was there with the relay people and we were wrapping up and everyone kind of had to leave. So it was like time for everyone to go in our group. We all had places we had to be for that evening. And so we were just on our way out and I was in the line by that time, had gotten pretty long to see them. And so I just kind of like stuck my camera up in the yard just to get a little shot of them saying hi to all the fans. And so it was good to see that they had a nice long line, All right. Here we got some of those PBs we're talking about. Let's see. Louis says that Kerry Smith had a half marathon PB of 129. Nice. I like these cowbell emojis. Cowbell. Nice. Daniel Burton got second in the age 60 and above at the Fort Collins County Hilly course. Nice. Post call with Paul said didn't PB this week at about a 5-minute PB in Boston and ran a negative split 2:48:55. Boom. Oh man. People that run at Boston are just a different kind of runner than me. Let me tell you what. Like Megan Murray got a PB. Tommy Runs had a PB, and both of them are just like, yeah, I did, but and I'm like, what? You don't get to say that if you have if your PB is at Boston. Like, I don't know. They were like so like blasé about it. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe you guys need to take a little break. Christopher Giannino says a half marathon PB of 1:40:08. Nice work. Great. And now we got a lot of chat in here about Kelvin Kiptum. Mark says the London winner was so close to the world record, who won the race by nearly 3 minutes. I think he was 16 seconds off. It's incredible. Incredible. Yeah. And where was it? Something here by Frank. Frank says that I do think that Kiptum seems more likely to break 2 hours than Kipchoge at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like this though after London when he didn't win London, that I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like it's like the chink in the armor. Like is this where it all starts to go downhill? Kind of like Bekele also like DNF'd, the race, and you're like, just does he have any more left in him? He could, he'd still be one of the top Americans if he was running for the US flag, but like, like compared to where he's been, it seems to be like he's pulled out of races, he's DNF'd races, like what's going on. And then you look at Kipchoge not winning for once, and you're like, I don't know. But you got to remember, he's still like the current Olympic champion. You know what I mean? He's still the world record holder. Those weren't that long ago. So it's like, it's easy to be like, oh, this is the beginning of the end. But Kiptum is a lot younger. This is only his third marathon, I think. Right? So he's got potentially more bites at the apple. You know what I mean? Let's see. There was one more about Kiptum. Yeah, he said the split under 14 for 30 to 35K. It's unfathomable. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Dave says it was great to see Kipchoge handing out medals to normies at London. What a champ! Yeah. Do you feel? I mean, I feel like if you're Kipchoge, though, it would have been like, I think I'd be like, or I think he'd be like, I sure would enjoy this more if I just won Boston. You know what I mean? But he's there as like the 6th place finisher, which is no joke. But like for him, it's not stellar, So I just feel like he's like, oh, why did I sign up for all these public events and appearances? Colin Jennings says, I got a 9-minute PB at Glass City yesterday down to 2:58.54. Whoa, nice. That is a big jump, Colin. Oh, man, nice. And Frank says, Mo is officially retired now. That was his last marathon. I watched a post-race interview, and he said he has 2 more races left. They're both called Great. His last one's going to be the Great North Run. And there's another one that's called like the Great something something. It's a 10K. So he has 2 more races left, and he's like, then I'm done running forever. So that's what he said. He says that's definitely his last half marathon. He's like, he was disappointed. He really wanted to be the first Brit in his last marathon, but he's like, I could still run well, but not like I used to. And he's like, I just can't keep putting my body through it. I think he said something like that. Something along the lines of, I'm not willing to, like put in the work that I know I need to do to be able to stay here. Yeah. So it was kind of sad to see that. Joho says Brucey 10K on Saturday and got a PB. Took first in the 50 to 54 age group with a 47.25. Nice work. And Joe Guhit says no boxes open today. Yeah. I think I do have packages. I just didn't get them. I think I just ordered something. It should be arriving today. It may be here already, but it's not at the house. So we'll have stuff to open tomorrow. And Manor Runs, what's going on, Manor Runs? We met in Boston this weekend. Says this was Kiptum's 2nd marathon. The only other one was Valencia. Oh, okay. Okay, nice. And Martha says, I love the interviews with the London winners, especially Hassan. She was so genuinely in disbelief. Yeah. I mean, those interviews, they look like they were in front of a fake background, to be honest, because it was so quiet. I guess because they were all the winners come in so early. But it seems so quiet. They must have just really good microphones. But it seemed like they were in a studio and it was like on a fake background for all the interviews. And it may have been. Who knows? Maybe they had them in like the post-race press area or what. But I don't think so. I think it was just that was the way that they had the camera set up. But those post-race interviews were pretty good. I also think I watched a bunch of post-race interviews. I think Let's Run actually did a really good job of interviewing athletes after the race. I normally don't watch Let's Run content, but I was watching those and I was like, oh, who's doing this? And these are good. I like these. Naran Chandra says, any thoughts on the Garmin 265? Yeah, I mean, Garmin never sends me anything. So like if I want to review something from Garmin, I have to buy it myself. I just bought the Garmin 255 Music, and I ran with that in Boston, and I felt like I did an excellent job. I came in at 26.33 miles, which is the closest I've ever come to running 26.2. Part of that I think is on me and Tony. Tony did a really great job of making sure we ran the tangents. It's something that I have been focusing on ever since like 2 CIMs ago. Like whenever there's a wide course, don't just follow like the one side of the road. Figure out where the tangents are, you know. But I think we really did a good job. But I also think that the GPS was really accurate. So 26.3, I think was good. And I also feel like the instantaneous pace that it gives you, like you can look at your watch and whatever it tells you, you can feel like that's what I'm doing. I can't say that for all the watches. And so I like the 255 a lot. The 265, from what I understand, is a different screen, different screen technology, which I do like a brighter screen. But I don't want to be looking at my running watch more until they can get Audible, until I could get audiobook. There's not a lot of new features that you can give me that I'm going to find interesting. Like if they could put the polar sleep tracking on a Garmin watch, running watch, if I could combine those two things, then we're talking. But until then, I'm not that interested in new features. I'm kind of like, we've hit peak watch, I guess. Although now it's the summertime, I'm gonna be doing more trail running, more kind of like longer distance adventures. So maps are interesting to me again. So I don't know. I suppose the Garmin 265 maps would be really nice. Maybe I'll look at it. I don't know. Let's see. Calvin says, when do you think the Ingebrigtsens go up to marathon distances? I don't think that they're going to. Do you think that they will? I feel like they're going to have a really long career running miles, 5Ks, and even some 10Ks. But like, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I've always thought that like it'd be amazing if like Emma Coburn jumped up to the marathon distance, but like I don't think that's coming. I'd be very surprised at this point if that happens. And I don't think it's necessarily a given. Like you wouldn't expect like if Jake Whiteman said like, yeah, I'm going to bump up to I'm going to do a couple more years of miling and then bump up to the marathon and be like, that's really interesting. But I'm like, for real? Not to say that he couldn't be excellent at it, but I don't know. I think it's a different, like they're just built different, you know? Thing is, they are doing so much of that threshold work. And I feel like that's what's you really need to do a lot of for marathoning. But like, I don't know. Have they run a half? I'm sure they could run like a 60-minute half. Right? I don't know. 1HP says, ran with my friend in the Flower City half yesterday. He was going for a PB and some Ultra Riveras. I let him borrow my Alpha Fly. Any PB by 6 minutes. There you go. Nice. That's a friend. That's a friend. Here, take my shoes. I'll run in your Ultras. That's funny. Yeah, Carlos Griego says, Kipchoge not winning is like Jordan missing an end of game shot. It happens, but it's still surprising when it does. Yeah. Yeah. BN Puff says, looks like Emil Karras wore the Takumi Sen 9 for a London debut. Really? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that runner. But I mean, I feel like, okay. I feel like a Takumi Sen 9 would be more surprising for a Boston debut. But for London, if it's a flat, fast course, maybe not. Maybe that works. I don't know. Still, I don't think I could do it. Dad Runner Al's here. What's going on, Al? Cliff Run says, doing my second marathon at Avenue of the Giants. Just picked up a Mizuno WRP Wave Rebellion Pro. I'm wondering your thoughts versus Alpha Fly 2 for that marathon. I think that they're very different shoes. Although, like, you know what? I have never actually run in an Alpha Fly 2. I have a pair, but they're fakes. They're 11 ounces each shoe. I bought them on eBay from a clearly sketchy listing. but I did it for the views. But yeah. So I'll compare it to kind of like I'll assume like the Alphafly 1 is somewhat similar. Although I do think some of the differences may actually make this comparison a little bit less drastic. I think that the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro is a little bit on the firm side, but in like a good way. Just like I think that the Metaspeed Sky Plus and the Audios Pro 3 are a little bit on the firm side. But like it's twitchy in that way that I've mentioned that I like, where it's like if you're messing up and getting sloppy and wanting to heel brake, it's gonna penalize you and let you know you're messing up, and it's really gonna slow you down. But if you can get yourself sorted out and focus on a clean foot strike even late into the race, it's gonna really help you stay efficient for longer. And so I do really like the Mizuno Way Rebellion Pro right now. The Alphafly is one of those shoes where I feel like it doesn't matter how you throw your foot out in front of you. It's going to roll right through because that zoom X is so nice and squishy. And then the way the plate and the zoom area is set up, it's going to give you a nice little pop off afterwards. So it's a much more forgiving shoe. But I feel like what you give up from that is a little bit of the benefit for when you're running efficiently. I feel like those other shoes, Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro, Metaspeed Sky Plus, and Audios Pro 3, they really reward you when you're running clean. You don't quite get as much of a benefit from the Alphafly, in my opinion, for when you're like, hitting the ground right. Daniel says, do you have to qualify for the Peachtree Corrals? I have no idea. For a lot of races, though, they'll ask you for a time just so they can figure out where to put you. You know what I mean? And so it's not that like you're qualifying for the race, but if you want to be up towards the front, then you usually have to submit like a link to a time. Some races, though, they're just like, when do you think you're going to finish? And you put that in, and that's usually enough. They don't require verification, but bigger races will require like just drop a link to the thing, Dave says, okay, here are the Mo Farah's races. Great Manchester Run and the Great North Run. Is that right? That sounds right. The Great Manchester Run's like 10K, right? I think. Yeah. Dave says, regarding Hassan, it's still in belief at winning, especially when you consider training through Ramadan. Oh, that's right. That is impressive. I mean, winning is impressive. Yeah. Darius says, I learned recently that 42 meters are added to the length of a course to make up for the accuracy. So 26.3 is probably as good as it gets. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Where did you learn that? Where does that? Oh, I had no idea. So marathon's supposed to be 26 miles and 385 yards, but it's actually 422 yards, 27 yards. Interesting. So it's basically 26 and a quarter. Oh boy. Al says, Coat, you were looking to run some trails and ultras? There's a great video on YouTube for Antelope Canyon Ultra in Arizona in March. 100-mile, a 50-mile, and a 55K as well as a half. Looks super organized and supported. That'll be interesting. That time of year, I'd really like to run Black Canyons. But one is, can I get in? And number two, like the last 2 years I was supposed to run Tokyo. I ran it this year. Last year I was supposed to, but I didn't get to go to Japan. So I did LA instead. Next year, if I'm running London, probably won't be that one. I like ones in the summer. Just because I'm figuring out that like summer is my off season, because I'm usually getting ready for fall marathons. I don't usually take them to. Maybe I'll take New York seriously one year, but probably not. I don't know if I'll run New York again. CIM is the one that I like to take seriously. Maybe I'll run Houston again. But I just enjoy watching Houston so much. So. Mysteries wants to know, Kofuzi, you use a force meter on your shoes? Sometimes. I haven't used one in a long time because I've kind of figured out over the years. I wore one for probably 10,000 miles of running. Well, maybe not 10,000, maybe like 4 to 5,000 miles of running. And I've kind of figured out what like marathon effort feels like, what threshold effort feels like, and those are the two main intensities I work out at. Everything else, anything faster than that, I'm happy to like go by time clock. So so I haven't really needed one lately. Stride sent me their new one. I just haven't opened it up yet out of the box because I just haven't felt like it. But I think maybe I'll take it up on some trails because I don't, like for me to run a 50K, that's kind of like 6-hour pace, and I don't really exactly know what that feels like going uphill, going downhill, or even really what that feels like running on the flats. So like I think when I'm doing training for a different distance, that's where like having the force meter helps, I think. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. I'm way behind you in the chat because I've been rambling a little bit. Travis McCullough says, "Hey, Cohen fam, thanks for suggesting the Takumi Sense on my 10K race for this weekend. PR'd it. Nice. Really, really nice. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that 10K, the Peachtree. And I was thinking, oh, for sure, I'll just run into Takumi Sense. But as I was talking to Adidas about it, I was like, oh, is the Adios Pro 4 going to be out by then? And so the person I talked to said, let me check on that for the shoes if you'll be able to run in those. Because I know that's right a little bit before when the Adios Pro came out last year. But I also know, I think I could talk about this. I'm not sure what's under embargo or not. But they didn't they had one pair of Adios Pro 4s on a mannequin at TRE. But they were like, oh, can you not take pictures of that? That was the one thing they told me not to take pictures of. I did anyway, but they said, don't take pictures of that one because that one that's not what it's going to look like. I think it's going to look like that. But they said like they're reworking the foam because they tweaked it and they really like it, but it didn't meet their durability standards. So I don't know how far back that sets them on the drawing, on the progress scale. So I don't know if we'll get another July release of the Adios Pro 3, or the Adios Pro, like last year. And I don't remember. It reminds me, someone asked earlier. I don't forget who, about the On racing shoe, saying like there's been a lot of prototypes and stuff spotted out in the wild. I don't know. No one from On has been like, hey, we're gonna get you these. I'm not super interested in like racing shoes like right now. I mean, if one came in and it was like, like the On one came in, I would review it. I would do some mile repeats to give that shoe a good test. But like, I don't think that they're. Who would get it? Tommy Runs would get it. I wouldn't get it. Believe in the Run would get it, but not me. So I hope it's coming out soon. It looks good. I really want them to have a great one. The Cloud Boom Echo 1. I did not run in any of the Cloud Boom Echoes. I heard not great things about those. And so I'm rooting for them to win. But we did say On a whole bunch of times. So Video Guy Man 7 says, "Are you planning on doing any events at Peachtree?" I did when I talked to Adidas. We did say like, "Hey, Drew and I are probably going to want to do something, and we'd love for Adidas to be involved." I don't think they're doing like a huge rollout. I mean, they're clearly not going to do as much as they did for like Boston Marathon, for Peachtree for a 10K in the summer. But I think they're interested in doing something. So hopefully we'll have a shakeout run or something like that where we can all hang out, get some miles, sweaty Atlanta summer heat miles in. But hopefully we'll be able to meet up in Atlanta somewhere that weekend. So keep an eye out for that. Martha says, I registered for London for the heck of it. Leona told me that they allowed deferrals And that's because she definitely wants to do Boston next year because her coach is going to be running it. But does anyone know if that's true? I don't know if that's true. I really thought that Boston allowed deferrals. So like I was actually thinking about deferring this year just because I just run Tokyo and I was worried about getting disqualified for filming it. And I want to get a 6-star medal. So I was thinking maybe I could just defer it for a couple of years and make that my 6th star. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that doesn't look like there's available for Boston. And I don't know. I don't know what it is, if there is for London. I just feel like, you know what, Martha, you just might have to run 2 next year. Okay. I think that'll be okay. You know, a lot of people did the double. So, Steve Zabrowski says, I have the entire Dorfman line. What's a good long run shoe with some plush for a Clydesdale besides the Shift and the Triumph that I usually use? I mean, I would say that the Triumph is probably it. But if maybe the Triumph's not peppy enough for you, then I would say use the Speed. You can use the Speed for a long run shoe. You can even, I mean, have you tried the Endorphin Elite? You know, and it's a race shoe. But if your long run has marathon paces in it, then it's going to be a really great choice. And I also think that that's a shoe that also is going to work for bigger, taller runners too. So like, I think that could be it. The Shift is the other one that the Shift and the Triumph are the two that I would normally think. I don't like the Shift. I haven't liked the series. But I do get a lot of feedback from bigger, taller guys that are saying like, yeah, I'm squishing that foam, so I like it. And I'm like, I don't know, I just sit on top of it. I don't squish it. So I don't like that one. It just feels firm. So those are the two that I would normally look at, but like I would consider trying the Speed out for it because I think it's got power run PB in it. It can handle it, you know. I'll try. Let's see, what was this? Stevia Run says, if the Adios Pro 4 is coming out in July, does that mean incoming sales for the Adios Pro 3s? It goes on sale. Like sales happen on adidas.com all the time. It's just goes in batches. I mean, we just had a marathon come up, so I think that they don't put things on sale. And now that that's over, there probably will be some sales on it. And with the 4 coming out, hopefully this summer, it might not come out till the fall. I mean, if they can't get it out in time for Berlin, that's a problem. That's a big problem. You know what I mean? So I would at least expect it to be available in August, but I'm hoping that it'll at least be available in July so I could try it. You know, otherwise I'll take my Takumi Sens out for a 10K. I have no problem with that. That's a lot of fun. CR wants to know if they think the Takumi Sen would be good for half marathon. I think it'd be great. It'd be great. It'd be fine. But like, I think the Adios Pro 2 would be better. That's the thing. It's like, yes, you could stretch it out, but you stretch it out too far, like a half marathon distance, and you're like, well, why aren't you running in the Adios Pro 3? Unless you're just like, I only bought one of the two and I have to pick, you know, most of the time I do 5K and 10K and sometimes I do half. Can I get away with it? Yeah, for sure. But if like you have the Adios Pro 3 and the Takumi Sen 9 or Takumi Sen 8, you know, I would probably go with the Adios Pro 3 for the half, but you could definitely enjoy the Takumi Sen for a half. Otto wants to know what would I wear for a 5K? I do like the Metaspeed Sky Plus for 5Ks. I've run in the Edge Plus for 5Ks as well. It's not as nice. But I think that the Takumi Sen 9 is probably my favorite, or the Takumi Sen 8. They feel like they're the same shoe. I've tested the New Balance SC Pacer. That is, I did a Yasso 800 workout in it. My legs felt trashed by the end. And then the what is it, Streak Fly? That shoe does not feel like a racing shoe. I feel like if they had just called the Streak Fly the Peg Turbo 3, they would have sold so many of those. But they call it a Streak Fly for some reason, and it was a dud. It's a fun shoe, just I wouldn't want to race in it. Okay, for the 5K Auto VV, some context. If I had to choose between the Takumi Sen 8 and the Vaporfly 2, what would I pick for a 5K? 5K, the Takumi Sen 8 all day. Yeah. Vaporfly 2 is not a bad choice. That's a good choice. But yeah, Takumi Sen 8. Calvin says, Hello Good mentioned he had traction issues in the Rocket X2 at Boston. Seems like Adidas will always be a bad weather backup. Yeah, true. But I had traction issues with the Rocket X2 in Miami because some of those aid stations were really, really wet. And I do remember feeling like, ooh, it's a little bit slippery in this shoe. So I think that they have a very dense rubber on the outsole right now. My guess is they're doing that to maintain durability and also to make sure that you're getting a lot less squishiness. So there's more kind of responsiveness and energy return to the foam. But I would anticipate for Rocket X3 that they go to a softer compound. So it's maybe burns down a little bit faster, but a little grippier. That would be my hope. And make it thinner too, please. Ibrahim Hussein said, what's the strength training routine looking like? I don't know. I'm kind of making it up as I go along. I did some squats, deadlifts. Then I did hamstring curls, Bulgarian split squats, and then calf raises. Someone mentioned glute bridges, and I think I need to add that in. Yeah, so maybe I'll add that one in too. And yeah, I'd like to go every 3 days. Once every 3 days is my hope. I want to lift heavier for the summer. While I'm running, I'm not, like in marathon training in the summer. So like I really want to do kind of like an onboarding season and then figure out a way to weave it into my training during a marathon training block. Now this last couple marathon training blocks, well, I didn't do it for Boston, but leading up to Tokyo, I did some like double threshold days, or I just did double days. Like on my workout day, I would work out in the morning and then do like an easy, 4 or 5 miles in the evening, afternoon, or do a second threshold workout. I think that's where the strength training can come in. So like threshold workout in the morning, strength workout in the afternoon. That'd be like day 1 on every like 9-day cycle, and then day 2, 3, 4 would be another threshold workout, and then weight session, and then 5, 6, 7 would be long run, lighter weight session maybe, or I don't know. So like that's like hopefully I can still maintain like a once every 3 days. And then the tricky part is I don't know when to stop doing the weightlifting during a marathon training block. If that stops just when you're taper or before you get into the heavy training, like 10 weeks out, I don't know. We'll figure that part out later. Sean says he thinks that if I get pregnant, I can defer. Okay, well that's good. At least you could do that though. That's good. Oh, Daniel Nieves says, don't forget Steamtown. I'll bet you have a PB on that downhill course. Were you the one that mentioned that to me, Daniel? Someone mentioned Steamtown. I knew that it was a popular race, that a lot of people run it in the East Coast, but I didn't realize it's because it's a lot of fun downhill. So yeah, that makes it a lot more interesting. Downhill race, you got my attention. You know what I mean? 1HP says, any interest in the Boilermaker 15K this year? It's a fun race that ends at one of America's last large independent breweries, the Free Utica Club at the finish line too. Huh. I've not heard of the Boilermaker 15K before. Interesting. Michael Costa says, how do you recover post-race? I think a lot of it depends on what I got next. My recovery after Tokyo was very different than my recovery after Boston. After Boston, it was a lot of long walks with my wife, a little bit of extra booze at dinner, a couple of cocktails on the weekend, that kind of thing. I did some swimming. I went for one run. It was 3 miles, and towards the end, my right quad started feeling a little bit not great. So after that, I didn't do any more run. I still haven't run since that day. I think that was Thursday. And I've been doing swimming. I've gotten on the bike, so I'm just like doing other stuff to just keep, the endorphins flowing because I like moving, but I haven't really been rushing about getting to running again. I hit the gym today. So those are some things that I'm working on. I'm trying to make sure like my protein consumption is a little bit higher than it normally would be, but I'm kind of always trying to do that and I'm always failing at that. I'm trying to sleep a little bit more. I've been doing a lot of work getting these videos out, but like hasn't been quite like the rush of like my normal kind of like video creation content routine. So I've been just kind of like taking everything a little bit easier. Alan Lou says, got any updates on the Nova Blast 4? I'm waiting for the 3s to go on sale and eventually stock up. They didn't tell me I couldn't say this, but I did see a pair. I held a pair of Nova Blast 4s over the weekend in Boston. It looks nice. The upper is going to be a little nicer, I think, this year. The shaping of the foam is not wildly different, but it's very different than what the 3 looked like. I think more different than the 3 looked like the 2. You know what I mean? Because like 1 and 2 looked kind of similar, and 2 and 3 I think look really different. 3 and 4 are going to look even more different. But they're looking to kind of just amp up more of the things that I like, the bouncy and squishiness parts of it. So it might be like one of those shoes where some people are like, this is too unstable for me. It hurts my ankles. That's exactly where I like a shoe to be. So I like it. I mean, I haven't run in it, but from what they're describing, I like it. I didn't hear anything about release dates, but it was so early that like the pair that they showed me was like a really super beat up. It was someone's tester pair. Had a couple 100 miles on it, I think. But it's still early. It's not 4 is not coming out anytime soon. I wouldn't have expected it before June anyway. But I don't have any updates on dates. All right, let me scroll down a little bit more, and we're gonna have to wrap up for today. Kit says, has lifting weights made you slow down a bit in your runs due to fatigue from lifting? I wouldn't know yet. Kit, I went one day. I went today, and I'm still really not running after Boston. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it will a little bit. Although, Dr. Josh did comment on something that I posted about it because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Like tips and constructive criticism are welcome. And he was like, you know what, you're gonna feel really efficient in like 4 or 5 sessions. And I was like, what? Okay, that sounds nice. So maybe not. My plan is to lift heavy. Like I want to really like, I want to lift heavy weight for my legs. I want to get strong. I don't need endurance. I got plenty of endurance. What I don't have is like pound for pound power, so I need power. And so that's what I'm looking for. So maybe now, but I also feel like, there, you kind of have to weave them into my theory is I have to weave them in together. So in this kind of like quote unquote off season, I'm going to try to lift heavy, try to really make it an emphasis, a priority, while still running, while doing a lot of trail running. I'll be doing a lot of endurance running, probably not a ton of workouts. And then as we shift to race specific training for Chicago in the fall, I mean, Chicago is on my calendar, but whether or not I make it a PR attempt or just run easy, I'm not sure. But let's say I do make it a PR attempt. At some point, that the lifting will have to tail off a little bit so that the race specific training can become the priority. And it'll kind of like ebb and flow depending on what I need to do. So that's kind of like my ultimate goal, my ultimate kind of like plan and hope. And so in the interim, I don't care if the runs suffer because right now the running is just for fun and endurance and more aerobic base building. Does that make sense? So Calvin says, you want unlimited power? Palpatine improves. I love it. By the way, guys, the other thing that I've been doing to recover from Boston is I've been watching I've been binging some shows. I normally don't watch like anything like shows wise. Like I've never seen Breaking Bad before. I've never seen any like The Walking Dead or anything like those shows. But when it's treadmill time, I do like to, binge a couple shows, usually the Star Wars variety. Like this winter I watched Andor. And this week I watched like the entire season of Book of Boba Fett. That was really good. I really like that. And then there was a Mandalorian. Well, I mean, it's not a spoiler. Is it a spoiler? I hope it's not a spoiler. But anyway, there's kind of like that crossover, which I thought that they were different time periods. I didn't know that they were contemporaneous. But it was cool. I liked it. It was good. And then I know the new season of Mandalorian's out, but I haven't seen that yet. So maybe this will be the next week. So all right. Kit says, yeah, I think it's a good plan for as far as the lifting. You definitely did taper from lifting for a race because lifting can make you feel sore. So all right. At least I'm on the right track. All right. That's going to be it for today, guys. Hopefully we'll have the race recap video out tomorrow. But if not, I'll still see you for another live stream. Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. We should have some packages so we can open some boxes as well. But if not, it'll just be me chatting with you guys again. So I think it should be fun. In the meantime, till see you guys next. Be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.